Hi, this is Brett Ingram, award-winning entrepreneur, and today I want to share with you 5 powerful yet untapped web traffic methods. We all want more traffic for our websites, more traffic for our offers and sales pages, and more traffic to our social content, our profiles, stuff that we post. Everybody wants to know that not only are people seeing it, but it gives us the opportunity to generate leads, convert sales, and ultimately succeed in digital marketing, right? So that is ultimately the end goal. And there are some obvious ways to get it. So everybody knows of a few of the big sort of normal methods of getting traffic. The problem is that many of them are either overcrowded with competition or they require a lot of time, money, or skill. So if we look at some of the traditional stuff, just as a brief overview, like SEO, search engine optimization is great and it ultimately works, but it's a long range strategy. It's something that you need to do and then you need to wait. And it often takes a minimum of 6 months to start seeing any real benefit. So it doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. It just means that if our focus is solely on SEO, we need to have a really long-term plan because we aren't going to be able to generate a lot of traffic with that in the short term. In addition to that, it's highly technical. So some of it is things that are pretty obvious and easy. You know, you could do keyword searches to see what the volumes are and stuff like that. But there's a lot of nitty gritty, a lot of highly technical stuff that if we really want to get into it and we want to be successful, we need to understand it all. And further, it's continually evolving. So where it stands today will not be exactly the same as it is tomorrow. You know, in the very beginning, it was all just about keywords. And then it became more about backlinks. And then it became more about the authority of the backlink. And it keeps going and keeps evolving. So it's something that we need to invest our time and energy into, and we need to actually study it if we want to get very good at it and have long-term success with it. Or we need to pay somebody to do it, which isn't cheap. The second typical method would be ads. Everybody's aware of Facebook ads or, ads for YouTube or whatever else, Google ads and things like that, where maybe you're scrolling around, the ads are sort of following you around because they're using retargeting and everything else. And ads can be super effective because they're very short term, they're very immediate. If you run an ad today, you can start to get clicks and traffic today. The problem with ads is that they become so sophisticated at this point and mature that there are people that are experts at each of the various types of ads. So if you're in an uncompetitive niche, ads might work okay really well for you, but if you're in any of the competitive niches at all, you need a very sophisticated advertising setup in order to be successful. If you just try to create a couple ads and throw them online, you're going to lose all your money. So you need to not only have great creative, but you need a full strategy. You need to understand how the bidding works. You need to understand how the ad placements work, what type of content works best on each of the platforms. So again, ultimately, we're back to the situation where we either need to study this stuff to become an expert at it, or we need to pay somebody to do it because that's going to be the only effective way to be able to compete in a way that we can actually make money. We also, by the way, need a very high profitability sales funnel. Any front-end product that's trying to use ads is going to struggle to make money. You need a long funnel on the end of it where you can generate a lot more in terms of dollars per average sale for a customer than what the front end offers. And the third main method that everybody's aware of is social media marketing, right? So if we want to go into social media marketing, we kind of know what the game is at this point. It's a very saturated sort of landscape with tons of people creating tons of content. The bar for creating that content has gotten a lot higher. It's no longer enough just to post stuff online. It has to look good. It has to be engaging. If you're using audio or video, it has to be high quality. Otherwise, people won't tune in. And so we need to do that. But in addition to that, we have to do it prolifically. We have to be posting all the time. If we make a post and then forget about it and then make another post, it's not something that we're ever going to be able to make work. So again, we're back to needing to spend a lot of time, or we need to pay somebody to do this for us, which costs a lot of money. But what if we want to look beyond those? What if we want to find some other ways to promote our products and services, to generate traffic for our websites or our profiles or whatever else, and do it in a way that ultimately could boost our credibility also, and also make all of our marketing efforts better? So not necessarily as opposed to doing these three methods or any of the other common methods, but something that we could do in addition to. So if we're doing any of these other things, it will accelerate and improve the results of those efforts. But if we're not, they'll also work in and of themselves. Well, I'm going to share with you 5 ways that we can do this that ultimately will complement all the other efforts we're using for our marketing, all the other efforts we're using for our branding and promotion, but also they'll generate traffic independently of all those methods too. So if you aren't doing anything right now, you can actually start with these 5 if you prefer to do that. So here are 5 ways to do just that. And they're often overlooked. So one of the best parts about this is there's a huge opportunity. There are niche markets that are aware of these things, but the average person online has no idea or doesn't even consider using these methods, and yet they're disarmingly effective. They also are very high leverage because they require comparatively low time for the result that we get. So the first of them is guest blogging. And what I mean by that is basically writing a guest post for other people's blogs or inviting them to write posts for us. That's fine as well. Now, if we have no reputation, it's going to be harder for people to want to write for us. So maybe that one isn't something that we could do right out of the gate, but it's something down the road. The benefit, if we do a guest blog for other people, is that we instantly gain credibility. When we put our blog on their site and they agree to post it, basically what we're doing is we're instantly tapping into all of their audience. So whatever their loyal following is, those people are all now more likely to click through on us, and we get instant credibility by association. So the fact is, if we're on this person's blog, the fact that they would post our content on their blog means that we have credibility. All of their audience is more likely to invest in us and believe in us. They're more likely to click through, but there are also more benefits. We also get the SEO benefit. If their site has a good reputation, we get a backlink from that posting on their site, and that allows us to get extra sort of link juice for our own website that will raise it up in the search engines. In addition to that, it's a great credibility builder. Now you might be wondering, but how would I get somebody to do that? I mean, how is somebody going to let me write a post for them? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Everybody needs content. And so the challenge is coming up with good content. If you know what someone's blog is all about, and you have an expertise in one particular area or one element or one thing that their readers would benefit from, and you write that as a post and it's professional, then you submit it to them, they're going to be likely to want to post that because it saves them the trouble of having to make their own. So the key is we need to understand what their audience is, who their audience is, and how they would benefit. We're not writing for the blog owner. We're writing for the blog owner's audience. We need to serve the blog owner's audience, and if we do that, the blog owner will post it. If we're pandering to the blog owner, telling them how great they are in a guest post, that isn't going to be a thing that's going to get posted because they're going to be embarrassed to post that to their own followers. If we're writing something that provides value for their viewers, for the people that subscribe to their blog, they're going to be likely to post it, especially if it's well written. And now with all the AI tools, we have the benefit of getting help in terms of proofreading. I don't recommend using AI to write it, but if you want it to basically, gussy it up a little bit, that's fine. The fact of the matter is, guest blogging is one way. So if we make a list of all the blogs in our niche and we approach them, we can take one article and approach, however many, and then once that gets posted, we need to do the next one for a new one. We don't want to post the same one or ask them all to post the same one, but we can make different variations of them and have them each post them. And that is a great way to generate a permanent backlink that comes back to our site for SEO, generate credibility, and buy into their audience, tap into their audience right away. So their audience is more likely to come visit our site and be interested. Then once we get a little established, if we have a site that's established, we can ask other people to write guest posts for us. And again, The benefit there is we give them a backlink, but also we get content for free and we get introduced to their audience because they're obviously going to post it on theirs as well. And so that will help us get some backlinks, improve SEO, and get traffic that way. So that's one way to do it. A second way to do it is with community engagement. So we can participate in online forums, social media groups, Facebook groups, QA, sites, anything else related to our niche. You'll be surprised how much of this content, how many of these little pockets of people and fans of any particular topic are out there. And if we do a little bit of search and we engage in those communities, the idea is we engage with a give first mentality. So we add ourselves to those communities, or we post an invite to see if we can get accepted. And then once we're in those communities, we start to answer questions, offer insights, and include links to our website. So we don't want to pitch stuff in this. That is going to get us shut down right away. People are going to recognize it as a blatant pitch. What we want to do is get a link back from those places to our site. Again, we're getting SEO benefit from it. It's a backlink, usually from a credible source. We're also getting organic traffic from people who are already interested in the niche, clicking through our site. If they're impressed with your comment, if they're impressed with your contribution, your insight, or they feel that you were a big help to them, they're much more likely to click through and see what you're all about. And that is a great way to do it. So all we need to do is get out there, find the places, and engage in them. We're not asking for anything, we're providing stuff. Then we can start to ask for stuff once we've established ourselves. But by doing that, we're also going to be able to create more backlinks and get more SEO juice from that as well, which is going to raise up our own thing in search engines, and it's going to build our credibility among our audience. A third method that we can use is press releases. Now, press releases are very, very clever ways to generate traffic. And the reason for that is, first of all, what a press release is basically like a news story about your product, service, business, yourself, whatever. And it differs from traditional marketing because it isn't a marketing pitch. If you write a press release as a pitch, it will get rejected. But press releases are very short. They're usually 250 to 500 words, and that's it. So they're very easy to write. There are a lot of services that'll do this for you. They'll write them and post them if you just do a search online for that. And it's not very expensive. And what happens is they syndicate it to hundreds of different news outlets. Now, you're not going to get on the major network of each of these news outlets. You're going to get on small subsidiaries, but it doesn't matter. What this does for you is it actually creates not only a ton of links coming in when we do a press release. First of all, they're quick to publish. You can get it published within 48 hours to 72 hours. So it's very fast to get that done. Second of all, we're going to get all those backlinks coming into our site, so we get all the SEO from that. Third, we're going to get the fact that we are featured, or our product or service or website or whatever is featured on news websites and news sites. So that's instant credibility. And we're also going to be able to use that sort of badge or that banner on our site that says as seen on or as featured on, CBS News or whatever it is. So we get a ton of extra benefits from doing this. And because it isn't a blatant pitch, we're also likely to get organic traffic as well. Because when that gets published in those local news, maybe it's the Wichita Observer, we might not live in Wichita, but the fact is people who do read that. And when they see it and they're like, oh, this is really interesting, they click on that. Now you're getting organic traffic coming to it as well. So the key to press releases is that they need to be newsworthy. You've hit a certain milestone or you've done this. It can't be about, it could be a new product release. We're releasing this new product. It just can't be a blatant marketing pitch. And there are all kinds of guides online that will show you how to write a press release. There are templates, but there are also services that'll do it. They'll write it for you. You just give them the topic and you give them the website. They'll write it for you and they'll publish it, and they'll do it for a very, very reasonable amount of money. You get it published quickly and boom, that's another way to do it. A fourth way to generate free traffic for our websites or additional traffic for our websites is podcast guesting. Becoming a guest on a relevant podcast in our industry is another great way that's very, very untapped. Most people don't even think of podcasts. They might listen to them. The listenership of podcasts is exploding. It's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And here's one of the greatest benefits that people are starting to realize and advertisers are realizing. Podcast viewership and listeners are extremely loyal, and they are thorough in their consumption of the content. When you post on social media or even YouTube videos, you'll notice that if you get people to watch 15% of your video, 20% of your video, that's not bad if it's a long video, because people just don't watch it. They watch snippets or they move around, whatever else. If you're posting on social media, after the thing's been out there for a couple of days, people have already forgotten about it. Podcasts are different. They have much longer shelf life. And the other part about it is because the guests are very invested in it. When the podcast host is either recommending something or having somebody else on, they're far more likely to engage and listen. And it gives you a captive audience. In most cases, you don't have an opportunity to pitch your products or services or the way you think or the audience you're trying to build or what you stand for or your vision or any of that, because everything else is so quick and transitory. You run an ad, they either see it or they don't. You make a social media post, they see it or they don't. On a podcast, you can explain everything, and the host can actually flesh out answers and ask questions of you to make sure that you look as good as possible to their audience. And when they do that, you get the benefit again of not only having a link back to your site, you're going to get organic traffic from people going from that podcast over to yours and everything else. And so being a guest on a podcast is a great way to do it too. And the way to do that is, again, just to reach out. A lot of podcasts have a link right on their site. You want to be a guest? Now, you're not going to be able to get on an A-lister's podcast if you don't have any reputation, nobody knows you on day one. You have to work your way up, but it doesn't matter. Even getting on smaller ones will build your credibility, and then you work up that way. And as you gain more credibility, you can go higher up the food chain. But the fact is, a lot of podcasters, especially small ones, they're looking for guests. They need people to interview. So if you have content in their niche that you can share and you're willing to go on a podcast and do it, it's a great way to do it. And a lot of times they have a thing to sign up to be a guest, or even if they don't, they have a way to contact them, and you can reach out and say, hey, are you looking for guests for your podcast? This is what I can offer. Again, we want to focus on what we can offer their audience, not offer them. So whatever audience they're in, what do you have that's valuable for their audience? That is going to be what hooks them and gets them to invite you on. And so basically that is another way that we're going to be able to do it. And then the fifth way is to collaborate with non-competing businesses. So this is joint venturing at its best. We look for businesses, we look for people. So even if it's not business related, if it's a podcast, it's a blog, it's social profiles, we want to look for people that are sort of parallel or that are complementary to what we're doing. And we want to reach out to them to see what ways we can work together. It may not be a direct one-for-one arrangement. There might be some sort of, but there's always something we can offer or provide value for and get some back in return. And you'd be surprised how many people are willing to partner. A lot of people just assume, well, if this person's established, they don't want to deal with me. It's not always the case. A lot of people are willing to do joint ventures and willing to do partnerships as long as it benefits either them or their audience. If you're only in it for yourself, they can sniff that from a mile away and they won't be interested. But if you approach it with a win-win mentality, they know you're going to get something out of it or you wouldn't have approached them. But at the same time, if you approach them with how they benefit, they're much more likely to listen and much more likely to engage. And this is just a numbers game. You might reach out to your first, complimentary person or business or whatever, a celebrity or influencer, and they might be game, or they might reject you and it might be 7 or 8 or 10 or 15 before you get one. But it's a numbers game. And if you do that, you can absolutely do that. And again, you're leveraging their audience, you're leveraging their knowledge base, you're leveraging their expertise, and the better you get to know them, the more advice they're going to help you with and offer you so you can get better at what you're doing as well. So you can collaborate on content, promotions, events, anything that benefits both parties' audiences and drives traffic to each other's websites. We all need to get traffic to our sites and social profiles, and these are 5 easy ways to do it. So the takeaway here is that no matter what we're doing right now to generate web traffic, and whether or not we're happy with what we're getting, these 5 methods all provide serious leverage because they require relatively little time, effort, or cost, and the return on investment can be huge. In addition to the obvious website traffic benefit, these methods also build our credibility and authority, so they make all of our marketing efforts that much more effective.